Your daughter has arthritis. Trust me. Age 6. Your daughter has rheumatoid arthritis. Age 9. We're starting her on methotrexate. She'll need to be hospitalised for a few weeks. Age 10. Her wrist is fused. She needs to be doing her exercises more. Age 12. We need to increase her dosage more. Nausea is normal with this medication. Age 14. You know, we call your daughter the coper. She gets on with everything. Age 15. Shauna, what you have is juvenile idiopathic arthritis. What I'm recommending is we try some steroid injections. You'll see a surgical consult to see if we can get some movement back in that wrist. And let's look at getting you a second set of books. How does that sound? It wasn't until I was 15 years old that a doctor started talking to me about my arthritis, about the condition that I had lived with for the last 9 years at that point. Up until then, all information was filtered through my parents. Up until then, all I knew was that arthritis hurt. It was the reason my wrist no longer had movement, and the reason I was nauseous all the time due to the medication I reluctantly had to take. The questions directed at me were, can you lift your arms? Does that hurt? Is that as far as you can move your knee? Based on their observations, all further information was then passed on to my parents. Any additional physiotherapy, any blood tests that needed to be done, or any changes to my medication. Because of this, I learned from a very early age to give as little information as possible, because any indication I was in more pain meant more of the nauseous medication, more exercises that hurt, and more time away from my friends and school. I then became the coper, the kid who could really cope with having arthritis. I handled the pain really well. I wasn't a huge concern because clearly my arthritis didn't impact me too much. I could blend in and be just like everyone else. The reality was, I was struggling. I was small for my age. The adults around me commented on my diet and weight constantly, and I couldn't walk down the stairs, and my hands would be in agony from all the essays I would have to handwrite. I didn't have the language to explain what was happening, and more importantly, I didn't trust my doctor. Because why was he allowing me to struggle this much? Let's get you some support. Age 15 is the time in my life that I can look back on and pinpoint as the time my relationship with arthritis changed and when I finally started living with arthritis. My care was put in the hands of a new rheumatologist who transformed what support was to me. Suddenly I was being spoken to, not about. I was receiving support for my physical needs, but also my social needs. I received a laptop from school, a second set of books, and was included in the discussion about my medication. It was at this age that I learned that living with arthritis meant more than doing my exercises. It meant making adjustments in my day-to-day life and asking for support where I needed it. Not because my doctor told my parents I had to, but because she taught me how to do it myself. Not just because I could get additional supports, but because I deserved them. She prepared me for what was to come in my future, getting me ready for the transition to adult services and perhaps, unbeknownst to her, teaching me to advocate for my own needs. Something I put into practice in every appointment I have, every job I start, and every new relationship I begin. My arthritis comes into every room I enter, so not providing it with the care and support it needs is not an option. I can avail of that. The impact of having poor communication with my doctor in my early years of being diagnosed with arthritis is something that to this day affects me. Whilst I know to ask for support, I don't always know how to seek it. It is not something that naturally comes to me. It is why at the age of 31, I only realised I could avail of assistance in the airport, something that I have seen the benefits of immediately. It is why I stood for 3 hours in a queue to get a vaccine. It did not occur to me I could ask for help. The reason I didn't think to seek these supports is because deep down that young child who lived daily with indescribable pain exists, and she would not have asked for the support, because to do so means people would see she had arthritis and she couldn't hide. That initial experience with my doctor and then the life-changing experience with my adolescent doctor is why keeping a clear, open line with my current doctor is so important. I am 12 years in remission and I want to keep it that way. I know to do that, I need to be honest about my pains I feel, any flare-ups that could be happening, or any future life choices I wish to make that they need to be consulted on. I see my rheumatologist once a year, and the reason I keep those appointments is so I can check in and keep them up to date with what is happening, and also have a space that if I'm worried, I know I can say it safely in this space. Not all the pain I experience is arthritic, but sometimes I worry that I could be relapsing. My team are there to reassure me and also kick me back into gear when my movement has become lapse. Speak up. Have your voice heard. If I could give 6-year-old me advice, it would be that it doesn't have to be this hard, and in the future, it won't be. You find your voice and you use it often. For doctors, it would be to speak directly to your patient no matter what age they are. Whilst young children might not be able to understand some of the big words or the processes going on, they do understand the pain they are experiencing, and they need you to explain it to them. Include children in their care, because those kids with arthritis turn into adults with arthritis, and you could be the reason why they learn to either live with the pain or actually live life with arthritis. For parents, it would be to ask as many questions as possible. You are your child's advocate for the time being, and they need you to ask for everything and anything they may need. If there is something you don't know, seek the information. Include children in the conversation about their care and make sure they are asked what they need. And finally, for the adults with arthritis who were once children with arthritis, speak up. Don't try to blend in. Your pain will still be there whether you say something or not. The difference is it doesn't have to be that bad. You deserve to have adjustments made in your life to make things less difficult. Ask for help with long queues. Ask for the exam support in university. Ask about the medication you are being prescribed. Ask for any and all supports available to you. I plan to keep using my voice because at the end of the day, it is my future, and I believe it deserves to be as pain-free as possible.